Hi, this is Summer with Summer's Tips and Stitches, and here's our Flinny. His name is Flynn, but I call him Flinny.
Hi.
And sometimes we call you Flinners, right? Yep. We picked up Flinners because my sister has a daughter named Olivia, and her nickname is Livers. Yeah, it is. And so Livers is like 11 months older than Flynn, and then his name turned into Flinners. So yeah, so that's Flynn. He usually, during Christmas break, he did a lot of videos with me, didn't you? But the last few videos I have filmed without him. Okay, so this video is going to be a yarny video. In the last video that I posted, which I put up on Thursday, I think the 10th, 9th or 10th of January, that is my giveaway video, where comment in the description below. No, see, I keep saying that in the description. Comment in the comment section. And next week, Friday night, I will choose a winner to get these beautiful Pantone Karen Pantones. I posted that video. It will be closing, I want to say, the night of the 18th. But in that video part, I said just go ahead and make a comment. Any subscriber could win. But I asked if you wanted me to do the 10 non-yarny things. I will do that, but that is not this video. This video is answering some of the questions that are yarny related. I also released a quick video this morning because I had a knitting disaster that happened last night. Currently, I started doing the lifeline, but it was very difficult. I stopped. And then one of my subscribers, you lovely folks, said use a smaller needle. So I have it right back here behind Flinny, and as soon as I'm done with this, I might have a go. Otherwise, I'm feeling like I'm 90% chance of frogging it. So if you want to see what my disaster is, go ahead and check out my knitting disaster. Okay, so down to business. These are the questions that were asked of me that are yarn related. The first one said, and you know what, folks? I'm so sorry. I didn't copy your names. That's something else. I was talking to Tara Lynn in the comments. I'm typically a very person oriented type of person. I will remember your name and face for the rest of my life. It does get a little harder as people grow and get older. So like I probably wouldn't recognize one of my friends from like 3rd grade. But I mean, I might and think, golly, that looks a lot like so-and-so. This has been kind of difficult for me on YouTube because I feel like I recognize some of your names, but then your profile pictures, like Tara Lynn's is a dog. And so my mind immediately pictures Tara Lynn as a dog, which obviously she is not. No offense, Tara. But that is what happens, is I'm having a hard time with the names and faces. And then because I have like over 1,000 people communicating with me, and then some of them are emailing, and then your email name and address is not the same as your YouTube profile. And so I don't want anybody to feel like you're not of value. All of you, not to get emotional, have really played a major part in my mental health this last year, and I'm very thankful of you. And it is actually stressing me that I'm not able to like remember everybody all the time. That is my goal. I don't do New Year's resolutions because I feel like I don't want to set myself up for failure, if you know what I mean. Like if I don't reach those goals, it will upset me. But one of my loose personal goals is to try better at cataloging or recording, I don't know, names, YouTube, emails, and addresses, and try to be better at that. Okay, so all of that to say that I did not write down who answered these questions, so you'll have to remember if it's you. It said, I would love to know how old you were when you first started working with yarn. And in general, who was your biggest crafting influence in your life? Okay, so my first time ever working with yarn, I want to say we lived in Astoria, Oregon. My stepdad's mom, Grandma Hudson, taught me how to chain. And she gave me a little metal crochet hook, and she gave me some of her scrap yarn, and I chained. I would chain and chain and chain, and then I'd tie off and make bracelets or necklaces. So that is when I first started, if you want to consider that working with yarn. Also, my mom's mom, one of the very few memories I have of her is of her crocheting when I was little. We saw her sparingly, and she made me a little pair of baby booties for my doll, and she used to crochet. And the thing I remember about her is she used to make these things called kissing sukas, which I believe is a Finnish word because she was Finnish. I think she was born in America, but her mom had immigrated over, or either she immigrated over as a young child. Not 100% sure. But she would crochet, now that I know, are gauge swatches. And then she would sew them up around one side, and so they'd be like, as my mom translated the word for kissing suka, is kitten sock. And so she'd sew up the one side, and so it would be like you could put a little kitten sock, and she'd give me kissing sukas. So she had a little bit of an influence in my yarn, but the main influence in my crafting lifestyle is my mom. I don't necessarily remember her like knitting, crocheting all the time. In fact, I would say almost never crocheting. I never saw that. But she did knit probably... Oh, yeah, babe? Sure, you can get that and come down. Okay. So I do remember her starting to knit when I was in late, probably middle school age. 6th, 7th, and 8th grade if you're not in the United States. That's middle school age here. So like 12, 13, 14. She worked at a craft store. That's when she started hoarding yarn. But I will say, prior to her knitting, we always had a crafty lifestyle. I remember she taught my sister how to plastic canvas. She always sewed. I would say that was her craft of choice. She hoarded fabric. She also taught me something like, I will always want to say, I feel like it was called candle wicking, but that can't be what it was. And I remember she taught me that, these little knots. So anyway, we always did crafts. And then as we got older, we did friendly plastic. And if you were from the 80s, you probably remember that lovely treat. So we always did painting, crafts. She worked at a yarn store. She never did she teach me how to knit or crochet either, but I saw her do it. And sometimes if she had a knitting project on, I would sit and watch her, and when she would leave, I would go knit a stitch because I watched her knitting, and I saw where she put her needle, wrapped it, and now she pulled out. And so sometimes I would do that. Or she also cross-stitched a lot. I've never really cross-stitched, but she would get up, set her cross-stitch down, go do something, and I would do an extra stitch. I bet she loved that. But yeah, so I would say she 100%. And then a good portion of this yarn, which is another question later on, came from her. Here it is, the next question. It says, so if it's not too personal, how do you afford your yarn? I've been collecting for many years, so I don't have the newer stuff. Well, currently, if I do buy any yarn right now, it is almost always on sale or with the coupon. If I'm planning to make a large project, then I will buy one skein at a time from Joann's with the regular, that coupon. They'll do 40, 50, or 60% off of one regular priced item. And I usually try to wait until it's not on sale so I can use one of those coupons because that is usually better than their deals. I will say I'm very blessed with a very loving family group. My husband's stepmom, my stepmom, my mom, my sister, even my brother for birthday presents or for holidays. They either buy me yarny related things or give me gift cards. Or we go to a trip to a store and they'll buy me a bunch of stuff. So a good portion of that comes from gifts from family members. And then finally, also, I've had three really large yarn gifts. The first was my mother. A couple years ago, I want to say maybe a year and a half ago, because it was about my birthday. This year for my birthday, I didn't really do much, but last year for my birthday, I went up to Door County. I visited my mom and my husband's family, And my mom gave me a huge chunk of yarn from when she was hoarding and working at her craft store, Donna's Gifts and Needlework. This cubby primarily has yarn that my mom gave me. One of these has yarn that my mom gave me, and one down here has some yarn that my mom gave me. Most of the yarn that she gave me were remnants of other projects or projects that she wanted to do. Ooh, I have some in this cupboard here that you can't see. I'll show you that in a minute. Some of it I'm not using. Like, for instance, the stuff that's in this, she had a knitting pattern for this super adorable baby jumper. And I wanted to knit that with it because that's what she bought the yarn for. And then some of this, like I said in another video, was remnants from a sweater she made for my stepdad and then a sweater she made for herself. Okay. And then also, I tutor or have been tutoring Vietnamese people in English. I don't know Vietnamese. I use Google Translate and I teach them English, and they pay me for that because I am a teacher and they are very thankful for the services I give them. I also have a Vietnamese girl living with us this year. Because of her mom's work situation, she had to move and was not able to take her with, and so the Vietnamese girl, who is now a part of our family, lives with us. So in saying that, I am financially compensated for the services that I give to them. I often take Vietnamese people to the doctors, to the bank. I help translate social service programs, grocery shopping. I give them rides. I sometimes help fill out school papers because many of them have children. And so they always are very kind, too kind, and they pay me for a lot of what I do. So because that is something I do, yeah, I use that money for yarn. Okay, go ahead, Flynn.
When I used to go to FedEx office, Han and Kook were there, and they used to give me water and soda. I don't know the rest.
Okay, so what he's saying is, because I've been helping out the Vietnamese folks for a few years, he used to come with me before he was in kindergarten. And they work at a nail salon next door to the FedEx office. So he would come with, and they would always give him water or a Coke at the nail salon, or candy sometimes too. Both. Sometimes they'd give him a soda and a water and a candy. Because he also, right? You also helped our Vietnamese friends. Yeah. So that is a long answer to, that is where I get a lot of my spending money. My husband lets me use,
sorry.
That's okay. My husband lets me, and I don't mean to say that in like a patriarchal, he's the boss of the family. He respects that the services and the things that I do with the Vietnamese people, if they give me money, he doesn't say, put that in the family pot, you know. I use that to take us out for dinner sometimes, or buying him presents, or buying yarn. Okay, so, moving on. This is going to take forever. This is 13 minutes and that was 2 questions. Okay, how long have I been knitting? I've been knitting for 1 year. I started knitting a year ago in December. The first thing I made was a scarf with scarfy yarn. I knitted 2 scarves, a pinkish black one and a purplish black one. I gave one of those to Mary, and then I kept one. And then I knitted a triangular scarf, and I'm really very low. But anyway, I started in December, and those were mostly like knit stitches or garter stitch or whatever. I'm not even really, I feel like if you knit all one way, that is the garter, right? And if you purl, knit, 1 row purl, 1 row knit, that gives it like the V look, if I recall. So I'm a very new knitter. Like I said in one of my videos, I feel like I've knitted less than 10 projects. It takes me a long time because I'm slow and I'm just learning. And to be honest, I feel like a fish out of water while doing it. Holding the needles, when I have a mistake, I'm not sure how to fix it. But I will say, this is exactly how I felt when I first started crocheting. So I know the end is near. Okay, so the next question was, how long have you been crocheting? Like I said, my grandma taught me how to chain, my step-grandma technically, when I was 8. I did not crochet again until I was in college. UW Oshkosh does this thing called interim, where in between the first and second semester, for like all of January and a little bit of February, I believe, you can take a class. And because I worked on campus, I had to keep working there even though I did not take a class sometimes. And one time I just hopped on a bus over to Hobby Lobby, or Walmart, to be honest. I don't remember which. I bought a bunch of yarn, and I looked up how to do stitches, and this is pre-YouTube. So this had to have been like 1999, or before I knew about YouTube, where my main way of using the internet was ICQ, Instant Messenger, and email. That's pretty much all I did. I looked up a couple stitches. I don't even know what search engine I would have used. Printed up directions that showed me in pictures how to do double crochet. And then I double crocheted my mom. Technically it was a baby blanket, but I gave it to her for Christmas. And it was a wavy pattern where you did it like 5 double crochets, then you did 3 in 1, then you went down, then you skipped 2, then you went up. And I bought that yarn. It was either Hobby Lobby or Walmart. And then I started another blanket a couple years later, and still in college. I gave it to her maybe a year later, really. And then I didn't crochet again at all. So that was 99, 2000, 2001. Didn't do any crocheting at all. My daughter was obsessed with mermaids, and so we moved here, I want to say in 2014. And she wanted a mermaid tail blanket. And I saw one on the internet. I found a free pattern, but it was a loose pattern, I might say. And I started crocheting that because it was a shell pattern, double crochets. And I kind of figured that out, and it was crocheting in the round. I actually had my stepmom's sister, Aunt Heather. She was visiting at the time. She helped me muddle through that. So now, since it's 2019, it's been approximately 4 years that I have been crocheting. That first year was real rough. I made the mermaid tail. I put it away because my niece, if you watch a video back, a few videos back, I talk about my mermaid tail saga, or saga. My niece had gotten tangled in it because I was crocheting with 3 strands at once, all hanging off. For a first-time project, it was really complicated. So I had 3 skeins of yarn hanging off, and I'd crochet with one color, I'd come around, I'd crochet with another, and because it was in a round, and I just had all this yarn hanging off it, and the little deer just picked up the blanket and put it on, and all the yarn got tangled up. My mess. I should have put it away. So I kind of didn't work on it for a while, but then my Aunt Heather came out and visited again, and she straightened it out. She untangled it all, the disaster. She got me back on track. She kind of wrote out the rest of the pattern so I didn't have to follow the kind of loose pattern that the gal had put on her blog. And I finished up the mermaid tail. So check out, I will try to put a link in the description to that mermaid tail saga so you can see my issue with it now. But that was the first project I made 4 years ago. And that is the second question. That was, how long have you been crocheting, and what was the first project? So the first thing ever was that lapgan for my mom in Sturgeon when I was in college. And then the second time around was that mermaid tail. And then from then I just started working on dishcloths. And actually what it was is I bought a little pattern book from Hobby Lobby about how to crochet dishcloths. And I started making dishcloths, and then I'd make 2 of them and sew them together and make trivets or pot holders. And that's kind of where things went. I used that time to like get my rows straight and learning how to read patterns. Yeah. Okay. And my favorite finished object. I'm going to say that I have a lot of really cool favorite objects. I'd say most recently, I really love that granny shrug I made. I really love that cute poncho I made for Flinny at Christmas. I really love that pig because I made that up by myself, that pattern. I just crocheted it. So yeah, I would say those are some of my favorite. I made Maddie this beautiful unicorn hoodie, and I made that pattern up. I saw a picture. I'm sure you guys have all seen that picture of that beautiful little blonde girl wearing that little unicorn hooded scarf Well, I made my daughter one of those. That can be a future video. I'll dig that out and talk about how I made that, because that I made without a pattern because I'm cheap. And I didn't want to spend money on buying a pattern, so I kind of tried to figure out how to make one myself. The last question is about my shelving units. This shelving unit here I got from my dad and stepmom for a birthday present. It came from this, they bought it at Walmart, I believe. I think it's a Mainstay. And it is very heavy. And I have it sitting up here on this table. In each of these cubbies come with a bin. As you can see, they're all stacked up there. Those have yarn in them, and the cubbies have yarn. Okay, so now, right here, let me turn my video a little bit so you can see, is a bookshelf, and this is the side of it. I really would have preferred to have it somewhere else, but it's the only place it fits. And in it is more yarn. So I'm going to pause the video and show you what is going on over there. I have had that bookshelf, let's see here, for just a few months. I'm almost embarrassed to show you guys. But you know what? I'm just going to be honest. I'm just going to be honest and let you all know what's happening. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video and show you what's going on over there. Okay, so this is the bookshelf. My dad made this, and they used to store their VHS tapes on it. Obviously, we don't use those these days. And they have 2 storage units, and they're cleaning them out, and they're like, hey, would you like a shelf? And I'm like, yes, I would. Because at that point, one of my subscribers, I could pause and quick get the card and tell you who she is. Here, I might do that just to be a little more thankful. Okay, so Michelle Townsend sent me a wonderful package of mail. In fact, 4 packages. I can put a link in the description to the video where I opened it. At first, I thought the yarn was for me to put with my 5,000 subscriber giveaway. And then she sent me an email saying, Summer, and this was the yarn, most of the yarn that she gave me here. She's like, Summer, I really want you to use that yarn because you're making Laurel's Big Button Cowl. So she sent me all this chunky yarn. These, and Karen Simply Soft are my favorites. And these are Karen Simply Soft Sparkles. And she sent me these, and these. And then up here, oh my gosh, you guys, I feel so exposed. Up there are some cottons that she sent me. Now, I am going to do a video about the cotton and make it because she had actually asked me to talk about the cotton. And I believe it's, let's pull one down. Premier Home. And I believe you can get this at Joann's. So, that is what I put the yarn in right away. That's why I needed another shelf. Now, that does not explain what's going on all over. Okay, so one of the other places that I got some yarn, besides my mom and this lovely subscriber, Michelle, is one of my knitting buddies has a friend who had a grandma pass away or a friend pass away, and she gave my friend, Paulette, like 5 or 6 trash bags full of yarn. So this is a lesson for all you yarn hoarders out there. If you are not using your yarn, your relatives are going to bag it up and either throw it away or give it away. So Paulette went through the yarn, and then she gave me 5 trash bags, those big black trash bags full of yarn. So I'm going to show you what I've got going on down here. I don't even think I can. Well, I'll just pull it up. So way down here, I organized, just a second here. So I went through and grouped like yarns together, balled some yarns, and I put them in these plastic bags. I have down here, probably from those 5 trash bags, 4 of these left. The rest of the yarn, what I used it for was to crochet things for Christ Child Society. I donated baby sweaters, baby blankets, baby booties, baby hats, and things like that. And I made it out of that yarn. So I wanted to pay it forward, and two, I love crocheting baby things, so it was like a win-win. Then down here, which you can sort of see, I'm going to pull up a couple right here for you. This is some of the yarn that my mom gave me. It's Pretty Baby Boutique, and it's a DK Sport. There's some pinks, as you can see down here. It's so pretty. Here is like a pink variegated. Can you see like there's white with flecks of pink? And then here is the matching pink. And then here's the blue version. My mom bought this and have all of the yarn right here to make 2 baby jumpers. It's a knitted pattern. I want to say real quick 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. About 24 to 26 skeins of this blue and pinky yarn. And I'm not using it because I eventually want to be able to knit that specific pattern that my mom bought this yarn for. That's what she bought the yarn for. I have the pattern. I have the stuff to make a pinky one and a blue one. And that's what I want to do. Now, if it ends up being for her great grandbabies, so be it. But as of right now, I'm done having babies. I'm not fluent enough in knitting, and my sister is wrapping it up on the baby department. She has 3. We're both in our late 30s. So it's really not going to happen for her grandchildren, so it might have to be for my grandchildren. This yarn right here, as you might know, came from Australia. Gypsy Rose. That was my yarn swap. So I put it with my chunkies, because as of right now, this is my chunky section. This yarn I'm hoarding. I made a cowl for Christmas. And this is Lion Brand Wool Ease Carousel. I just love this yarn. So after buying 2 to make a large button cowl, Laurel's, I then went and hoarded more of it because I thought if they discontinue it, I'll be really sad because I love it. So I have 2 here, and then you can't see. There's one more shelf up here. I have 2 more. These are remnants from making Laurel's Big Button Cowl. I made one for every female pretty much in my family. You've seen videos of this. I've got that there. And then there's pretty much, up here are some more like leftovers. This is a white pipsqueak. This is, I bought this at Hobby Lobby. It's one of those cakes that they have. What do they call them? Sugar wheels. But it was on clearance because the ball band ripped off. So I came home and I caked it. This is Bernat yarn. Here's another remnant from Laurel's Big Button Cowls. I made this colorway for my mother-in-law. And I'm going to stand you guys up. Ready? And then here's the top shelf. Here's the cotton from Michelle that she gave me. Here is some of the leftover green cotton that I had. I gave in my Christmas giveaway. I gave away half of that. And then here's some more of that carousel that I'm hoarding. This is, this is a Bernat Pop. I bought that at Walmart on clearance for $1. And, I just caked it up. I bought it on clearance because the ball band came off. This is the remnants of Flinny's, poncho. And then here is some scrubby yarn. I want to say Tammy gave me that. And then here is some darn good yarn. I've actually wanted to mail this out to Zelda for a while, and I haven't. I put this one in a plastic because I thought the yarn dye smelled weird, and I didn't want it rubbing off onto my other yarn. This is like their silk remnants or whatever. So yeah, that is my shelving unit on the side. Don't worry, there's no yarn in there. That's a thing of project bags. So, that video quickly turned into my hoarding video. But yeah, those are my yarny questions that I answered. I feel like I've answered everything in the description as of the 11th. In the comments about my hoarding of yarn, my knitting and crocheting, and things of that nature. Real quick shout out, thanks to Michelle for all that chunky. I really love it. I actually, and you can't even tell, this is how much yarn that lady, she sent me, is I made a set of cowl and hat with this yarn, this yarn, this yarn, and this yarn. I made a set, a hat and a cowl, and donated it to my husband's work because 2 of his coworkers, their wives were diagnosed with cancer. And they were doing a fundraiser to help pay doctor bills and compensate for lack of work, things like that.
Mom.
And I knitted or crocheted, just one second, babe. Yeah. I crocheted a scarf and a hat out of each of those colorways. And I didn't hardly put a dent in the gift. So I will use some of this yarn for my 5,000 subscriber giveaway. Some of this. That's what a lot of this is kind of being waited for to put in that giveaway. But yeah, that's all. This is a 30-minute video, friends. This is probably one of the longest videos. If you stay till the end, good for you. I personally like watching these really long videos. And I crochet amigurumi while watching people. I love Flash My Stash videos or shopping hauls. And I just sit there and listen to you all chat about what yarn you bought or what yarn you're hoarding while I crochet. So I hope that I have some viewers like that, that love watching other people jibber jabber about their yarn. Because that is what I just did in this video. I love this. Isn't this so pretty? I might put one of those in my next giveaway too, just to share the beautifulness of that yarn. All right, well that's it. That's all I've got. My next video that I'll probably put out in the same shirt, just a little bit later on this afternoon, will be answering the 10 non-yarny questions about me, that tag. Do you want to be in that video, buddy? You're out? Okay. Here, get in here. I'll probably record that. My son has been quietly playing on his Nintendo Switch while I chat. And then I made this shirt for him, didn't I, buddy?
Yeah.
DJ Marshmallow.
You can't actually...
And then right here has the eyes and then a smiley face. We designed this, didn't we?
On the camera, you can't really see it. Kind of.
There it is.
Kind of looks like.
Yeah.
Weird.
He asked me specifically to draw and make this. I have no idea what that means. So, yeah, this video will come out today, Saturday. Is it the 10th or the 11th of January? I don't know. 15, 14, 13. Maybe it's the 12th of January. And then my next video on the following Monday is going to be the release of my 10 non-yarny things about me. Because I release videos on Monday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And if something comes up that I want to share sporadically, that will be inserted anytime. All right. Thanks for watching and subscribing.
Make sure to hit the bell.
Make sure to hit the notification bell so that you can be notified every time I upload. Although I'm going to be honest, I don't think it works because I don't always see notifications when I have friends uploading.